Natural catastrophes are a regrettable aspect of life and have always been. Although we have no control over them, we may prepare. The Saffir-Simpson scale, which rates hurricanes from 1 to 5, was developed with this objective in mind. Is it time to raise that scale, though? Welcome to Z. What if a Category 6 hurricane hit is the incredible question we're addressing today. Do you require answers to the important queries? Then why not join Z to see more videos like this one and ring the bell for more inspiring material? Let's first examine the Saffir-Simpson scale's operation. It was created by civil engineer Herbert Saffir and meteorologist Robert Simpson, and it was a crucial tool for the National Hurricane Center of the United States in the 1970s. Based on the average maximum speeds of their sustained winds, the scale classifies hurricanes. 10 meters above the ground, these winds are measured every minute. It's crucial to understand that the scale is solely dependent on wind speed and not on any other variables. The difference in strength between hurricanes of different categories can be tiny or large, between 1 mile per hour and 45 miles per hour, because each category indicates a range of maximum sustained winds. This indicates that the scale only offers a limited amount of data. For instance, significant elements like rainfall and storm surges are excluded. Until 2010, when the National Hurricane Center decided to omit them because of inconsistencies, the scale did take storm surges into account, which are responsible for the majority of fatalities during storms. They do still make storm surge estimates using the SLOSH model, which stands for sea, lake, and overland surges from hurricanes. To better inform people about the impending threat in the hurricane's path, this has, however, prompted the topic of whether we need a storm surge scale. Such a scale, which may rate possible storm surge damage on a range from 0 to 10, was actually proposed in 2018 by two scientists from Penn State University, Amanda Walker and David Titley. In this approach, the threat can be communicated and measured more clearly. The fact that a Category 5 hurricane has no upper limit is another problem with the scale. Anything that has maximum sustained winds of 157 miles per hour or higher qualifies. This includes hurricanes that have sustained winds of, let's say, 160 miles per hour and 250 miles per hour. Do we need to step it up to a 6th position, keeping in mind the Saffir-Simpson scale's limitations? As hurricane frequency and intensity have increased due to warmer and higher sea levels over the past few decades, hurricane seasons have gotten harsher. With regard to both the quantity and intensity of storms, the Atlantic hurricane seasons of 2005 and 2020 set new records. The impact of warmer waters is illustrated by Hurricane Ida in 2021, which grew from a Category 1 storm to a Category 4 storm in less than 24 hours as a result of unusually warm water in the Gulf of Mexico, despite the fact that scientists are unable to directly link specific storms to climate change. Meteorologists anticipate that as a result of human activity, the world will continue to warm and we will experience more and bigger hurricanes. Stronger storms also bring stronger storm surges and more rainfall, which can cause expensive infrastructure damage and even fatalities. Despite this, there aren't many Category 5 storms. In fact, just 7% of the 243 hurricanes recorded since 1983 fit into this category. The creation of a Cat 6 categorization thus runs the risk of being unnecessary. However, there have been storms that may be categorized as such. Hurricane Irma had peak sustained winds of 180 miles per hour in 2017. Hurricane Dorian had peak sustained winds of 185 miles per hour in 2019. These storms are like Cat 6 in disguise. In fact, Hurricane Patricia in 2015, which had peak sustained winds of 215 miles per hour, may have been classified as a Category 7 storm if the scale were expanded. A Category 6 hurricane has virtually unlimited potential for devastation, despite the fact that storms of this size often begin to lose strength once they reach land. Strong winds have the power to uproot trees, break windows and buildings, and carry homes away. Homes and infrastructure would be destroyed by the floodwaters, which might result in power outages that could potentially paralyze the hardest-stricken communities for weeks or months. With wind gusts of 200 miles per hour that tore bark from trees, the Great Hurricane of 1780, the deadliest Atlantic hurricane on record that caused 22,000 fatalities in the Lesser Antilles, would possibly fall into a potential sixth category. According to MIT meteorologist Kerry Emanuel and Princeton civil and environmental engineer Ning Lin, climate change will lead to an increase in the frequency of these extremely violent storms. They make a distinction between gray swan storms, which are unprecedented but can be forecast, and black swan storms, which have a significant impact but are predictable. The latter can still be anticipated and prepared for even if they will be outside of our current experience. When it comes to storms, preparation is crucial, especially if one lives in a region that frequently experiences them. As are island countries like Haiti, Cuba, and the Bahamas, as well as the eastern coast of the United States. During the Atlantic hurricane season, Florida in particular serves as an unlucky target for many hurricanes. As a result, several counties in the state have construction code rules requiring the appropriate strength to resist storms with a potential Category 5 strength. However, it is precisely this readiness to plan, evaluate, and avoid that prompts some meteorologists, like Robert Simpson, a co-developer of the Saffir-Simpson scale, to suggest that changing the scale isn't the solution. In a 1991 interview, Simpson claimed that raising the scale was immaterial because every storm with winds over 155 miles per hour has the potential to be catastrophic. In essence, there isn't much debate as to what you should do if a Category 5 or Category 6 storm is headed in your direction. Move. According to Simpson, storms of this magnitude have the ability to harm infrastructure to the extent that escape routes like stairwells or elevators become impassable. Every time a significant storm is predicted by the news, human nature must also be taken into consideration. When urged to leave before a storm, many of us decide to abide by local and state authorities' orders. There are those who, on the other hand, choose to brace themselves, bunker down, and weather even the worst storm. Even the deadliest hurricanes, such Hurricane Katrina in 2005, a Category 5 hurricane that produced $125 billion in damage and 1,392 fatalities, have been proven to have an impact on these judgments. Given all of this, would adding new, higher categories only encourage people to ignore the threat posed by hurricanes of lesser categories? What happens when 5 is no longer the greatest number? Even a Category 1 hurricane shouldn't be disregarded. Even Category 1 hurricanes, with persistent wind gusts between 74 and 95 miles per hour, have the potential to cause days-long power outages. If a Category 6 storm were to be added, it might be utilized to disseminate information on the black and gray swan storms. However, it would also be crucial for people to realize that a new category didn't lessen the threat posed by supposedly lesser storms. There is a chance that Category 6 hurricanes have already occurred in the past. Events that have ravaged entire towns, states, and nations have been devastating and terrible. The destruction will be comparable to what we've witnessed previously if, or rather when, another one occurs: storm surges that sweep away homes, rainfall that drowns communities, and winds that flip automobiles and throw people into the air. In spite of this, people have often shown their tenacity in the face of calamities. Even in our darkest moments, we always seem to be able to get back up and start again after a disaster. The best defense against a Category 6 would ultimately be to prepare for the worst and move out of the way. Hurricanes are nature at its fiercest, as it already does for a Category 5 and even for Cats 1, 2, 3, and 4. They have a certain degree of complete unpredictability because they always pose a serious threat to human life. And even though future hurricane seasons will be more intense due to climate change, how we survive still depends on us and how prepared we are for them. How do you feel? Do you think we missed anything? Please share your thoughts in the comments, watch other additional Z videos, and subscribe to receive notifications of our newest posts.